fellow page turners, welcome back to the channel. I'm Matthew, the man with the hat who reads. And we are looking back at the month that was. This is my May 2025 wrap-up. May was a decent month. We read 10 books this month, which was actually the same amount we read last year in May, and brings the year-to-date total to 48, down considerably from last year when we had 59 at the same point. That's just kind of how this year was going. We told ourselves we were going to probably be reading less books this year, and that has been definitely the case. It's been crazy this year. It's been crazy. We'll talk about some of the stuff I haven't gotten finished. I'm about halfway through Graft by Matt Hill. I didn't grab it for the video, but I'm about halfway. I didn't get it finished in time in May, but it'll be one of the early ones I finish here in June. And I never got to Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. The two Matts stayed to the end of the month. What can I say? I do want to read this, obviously. I've heard only amazingly fun things about this series, and I do want to pick it up at some point. I don't know when that'll be. My June TBR has a lot of stuff in it already, so we'll see. If I have time, I might squeeze this one in. Otherwise, July, August, whatever. And I had one book that I gave up on halfway when I was reading through it. I gave up because I couldn't get into it, and that was David Mitchell's The Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoet. I am a huge Mitchell fan. I love Cloud Atlas. I loved Utopia Avenue. There's a few other ones of his I liked. I just could not click with this one at all. I was struggling and struggling. After like a week and a half, I was only like 50 pages in. And I thought, at this rate, I will never get this book finished. So I finally thought, you know what? I have a lot of other stuff to read. Let's just forget it. I'm probably pissed off some people by doing that, but it's well written. What I read of it was well written. I just didn't care about anything that was going on or the lack of things that were going on. It's historical fiction, which is not really a strong thing for me anyway. And yeah, I let it go, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. Let's talk about what I actually did get read, starting with Paul Tobin's Prepared to Die. This was a reread. I'd read it and couldn't remember much of it. And as I was reading it, I was actually kind of surprised how crude it was. It was like surprisingly crude at times, where we focused on sex just for the sake of sex. And half the time there's no reason for it. It also felt very rushed at the end. It was a 3-star for me this time. I gave it 4, I think, the first time I read it. So it was a step down. I didn't love it as much as I remembered liking it. So I'm not going to hang on to it, which is kind of the purpose of these rereads I was doing this year. They're books that were high ratings from me, but I don't know why, because I don't remember them. If I don't remember them, that's not a good sign. So that one will be leaving. Then I finished John Brownlow's Agent 17. This was a 4-star for me. It's an action-packed thriller. I liked it okay. I gave it 4 stars because it was a very fast read. It was a very easy read. A lot of the chapters are like 4 or 5 pages total in length. Some of them are shorter than that. I don't love it enough to continue on unless I find the second book really cheap, but I don't even think I'm going to look that hard. I didn't love it enough to continue on. It was okay for a read, but I have plenty of other stuff in this genre that I enjoy more. If you're looking for a nice, fast-paced action story, you'll probably enjoy this okay, but I wished I'd have enjoyed it more than I did. I thought it was okay. I shouldn't say that. I gave it 4 stars because I had a good time with it, but it just also was at the same time like, this isn't a great book. But a great book is Sosuke Natsukawa's The Cat Who Saved Books. I did a review for this one, so you know I loved this book. This was a 5-star read for me, and was my book of the month after I finished reading it, until another book, which we will talk about here in a little bit, came along. But this was fantastic. I absolutely loved this. There's a sequel that I want to track down eventually, but this is a good contender for the top 10 at the end of the year already, as are a couple other ones that we'll talk about here as we move along. So very enjoyable, very cozy fantasy-esque. If you're a big person who loves to read, if you're a bibliophile like me, you will love this book. Okay, a disappointment now. Edward Ashton's Antimatter Blues, a Mickey 7 novel. I read Mickey 7 about a year and a half ago and gave it 5 stars. It was in my top 10 for the year, 2023. Picked up the sequel and then promptly didn't read it. And then when I recently saw the movie adaptation of Mickey 7, Mickey 17 is the movie, by the way, I was like, okay, I'm very much excited now to continue on and go back and pick this one up. I didn't realize how much of the ending of the book first book was changed for that movie. That's not even the biggest problem I have. The biggest problem I have is this book is boring as hell. Nothing happens for the longest time with this book. It's just so slow, boringly moving. When it gets going at about the halfway point, it gets good, it gets exciting, and it's flying along. The problem is this book is only 289 pages. So by the time you get through the first 145 pages, you're already closing in on the end. And yeah, it was very much a letdown after as much as I loved the first book. I only gave 3 stars to this book, mainly for the second half. I wished I'd have loved it more. And I was going to keep them both together, but I don't see myself ever reading this second book again. So I'm going to get rid of it. I'll hold on to the first one because I liked the first one. And the first one was its own story anyway. You don't need to read a sequel to read the first one. If you're going to read this one, I'd recommend reading the first one. But I don't know why you'd want to read this one ever. It wasn't that good. I was disappointed by that one. Very much so, and it makes me sad. And then I finally got to it, guys. I've been talking about this one for a while, and everybody talks about how great this book is. Robert McCammon's Boy's Life. This was phenomenal. So good. 5 stars easily. Easily my book of the month. I don't even have to go back and talk about book of the month because this will be book of the month. For those of you who care about that, and that's all you care about. Just everything. It's even hard to kind of pinpoint this to a genre. There's some horror elements. There's some sci-fi elements. There's some fantasy elements. There's just coming-of-age mystery elements. There's all sorts of elements in this. And it all fits together so well. And I was getting some Dandelion Wine vibes a little bit. I was getting some Stephen King vibes a little bit. Everything about this book worked for me. And everybody praises it, so I'm not going to just keep on going along repeating what everybody else says, but they're all right. This book is phenomenal. Seek this one out if you haven't already. Shovel Ready by Adam Sternberg. This is another one that is a reread. I read this years ago, couldn't remember it, but apparently I liked it. I gave it 4 stars back in the day, and that's what I still gave it. But I don't know why... I don't exactly know why I gave it 4 stars back in the day. Or now either. There's a lot of creativity going on. It very much has a noir feel to it. You get a lot of questions that don't get answered, but that's okay. The world building is cool. I just didn't love everything about it as much this time around. So again, I'm going to be letting it go, but I still love this cover. So simple and yet so fun. And yeah, it was a 4-star read. I remembered pieces of it as I was reading, which is more than I can say for Prepare to Die that I didn't remember any of as I was reading. But this just, it was good. It was fine. I didn't love it as much as I thought I did. It was still decent enough, but On the other side of the 4-star spectrum, we have James Rollins' Tides of Fire. I'm behind on reading James Rollins, as some people are quick to remind me. Again, it's James Rollins. I love the Sigma Force series. I did a whole video about James Rollins here a couple weeks ago. I didn't love this one as much as some of the other ones because it seemed like there was large chunks of pages where we weren't focusing on any of our main cast of characters. And I'm sorry, they're the characters I come here to read about. I don't care about these random people on a science station out in the middle of the ocean. I just don't care enough. I'm here for the main guys. I'm here for Gray. I'm here for Station. I'm here for Monk. I'm here for Kowalski. I'm here for them guys. Give me those guys. But yeah, it was still an enjoyable adventure from James Rollins. I only have one more and I'll be all caught up, and I might pick that one up here later this summer. So don't worry, Kat, I will get to it. All right, this is another book that everybody I've seen has raved about. And I was worried when I picked it up because I thought, oh God, I'm going to get canceled by some of the fantasy people if I don't like this book. But we don't have to worry. Michael J. Sullivan's Theft of Swords is phenomenal. I loved these two characters. I loved their interactions. I loved the world building. I loved the fact that they don't just info dump a bunch of stuff on you in the first 10 pages. They are slowly spoon feeding it to you, which I kind of like. Because it kind of continues to make the world develop and grow as you're proceeding through the series. I haven't got the other books yet, but I am definitely going to be picking them up because I really enjoyed this a lot. This was a 5-star read. The hype is real. Everybody talks about how our main characters are so much fun. Their banter, their dialogue is so fun. And it is. It was absolutely fantastic. Loved it. Can't wait to move on to the next one when I get them. Hopefully soon. I'm hoping to get one or both of them soon. Another reread. There's a lot of rereads in June. Sorry. Richard Kadri's Kill City Blues. This was the 5th book in the Sandman Slim series that I've been rereading this year. And yes, just like I said about all the other ones, I'm having a great time coming back to these characters. Some of the stuff that is happened in this book or in some of the last couple books, it's kind of funny because it just shows how faulty your memory can be, because things are happening and I'm like, I didn't think that happened until book 7, or I didn't think this happened until book 9 or whatever. It's here it happens a lot earlier than I expected it to happen, which is kind of fun. And it's been that way with every book in the series. I'm reading things that happen, I'm like, oh, I thought that was later in the series than that. And then there was something in this book, I'm like, oh, that happened this late? I thought that happened a long time ago. So it's kind of been fun revisiting this series and these characters. I'm having a blast. Solid 4, close to a 5, just like all of them have been. I really, really love this series. And it is so good going back to this series. Especially since I seen someone announced in a video that there's a new book coming in that series, which I'm excited for, but I'm also hesitant for because I don't know. It just feels like we don't. I thought it could have ended at book 10. From what my memory served, books 11 and 12 are good, but they don't really seem like they click with the rest of the series. Book 10 felt like a nice ending to it. And then when book 12 did come out, it felt like a nice ending to it. So I'm excited and hesitant at the same time about that next book in that world. I mean, I'm sure it'll be fun, but I just don't know how necessary it's going to be. And then the last book we read in May, in May, was Ray Bradbury's A Medicine for Melancholy and Other Stories. Not my favorite collection by him, especially the first half. I guess this collection was essentially made up of 2 of the mass markets back in the day, specifically A Medicine for Melancholy and S is for Space. And you can kind of tell which stories came from which collection just because of how things, I mean, you're reading along in these more contemporary short stories, mystery types, a little bit, you know, and then all of a sudden you get into like some sci-fi stories, some horror stories in some cases. And you're like, okay, we switched. So like the second half of this book, I absolutely loved with the stories. The first few stories, I was just like, it's all right. One of the stories in the second half, you forget how much, like, we know Ray Bradbury messed for like his sci-fi stories or Fahrenheit 451 or Dandelion Wine or some of his other short stories. You kind of forget he could write some like decently creepy stories. There was a story in here. What was it called? No. Come Into My Cellar. If I didn't know better, I would have thought it was a Stephen King story because it very much felt like a Stephen King story about mushrooms in the cellars and weird stuff happening. It really felt like something he would write. There's another story called, was it called just Invasion? I think it was called. What was it called? Was it called Invasion? I don't remember now what it was called. No, it wasn't that. Wasn't that. Oh, 0 Hour, which was another story in this collection that was absolutely fantastic. Those two were probably my favorite stories in the whole collection. As a whole, I gave it a high 3-star. Like I said, some of the stories I liked more than others. But some of the stories, especially the earlier stories in the collection, just didn't click with me as well. So there you have it, the 10 books I read in May. It was a pretty good month. I got some stuff read and out of my stacks. I made some room, which is good because books are flying in here. If you didn't see the video, I recently went book shopping and I have more books always on the way. The next book haul video, when we get to it here, when I do the May-June book haul next month, is going to be huge. So what did you guys think? Was I being too harsh on any of these? Do any of these sound like books you would enjoy? What was your book of the month for May? I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep turning pages.